Hey crew, it's Pitt and I'm back with some more Esoterica. Today we're diving back into the Theatrum Chemicum Britannicum. We are reading aloud and discussing as we go along the various points brought to light by the text. It is not the format for everyone, but people do find value in it, so you are more than welcome to tag along as we continue our exploration. Before we begin, however, if you are unfamiliar with me, any of my unconventional beliefs, or if at any point in time I lose you in terminology, there will be several playlists linked in the corner above. In the box down below, along with the original source material, the link for my book where I teach you to do magic and live responsibly, and the links to get in contact with or directly support the channel so that you can get a better understanding of who I am and why I say the things that I do. With that being said, we are going to dive in and continue our exploration of the Theatrum Chemicum Britannicum with Chapter 5, Part 2. This again will be a rather long one. We've got about 14 pages to blow through. Picking up from where we left off, talking about smelling things. Odor is a smokish vapor resolved with heat, out of substance by an invisible sweat, which in the air hath free entrance, and changeth the air and your smelling, and savour of meats changes your tasting. And as sounds changes your hearing, and as color changing your sight, so odor changeth smelling by might. The cause of odor is to know if you delight 4 things thereto be requite. First, that subtle matter be obedient to the working of heat. 4, to present by a fume the likeness of the same thing, from whom that fume had his beginning. Also to bear forth that pure fume and fair, there is required a clear thin air. For thick air will not bear it far, but it will retain it much faster. And so thick matter obedience hath none to the workings of heat, as it showeth in stone. Heat maketh odors, cold shrinketh by reason. Dunghills in summer stink more than in winter season. Pleasant odors engendered be shall of clean and pure substance and fumigao, as it appeareth in amber, nard, and myrrh. Good for a woman such things pleaseth her. Out of pure substance with a mean heat be temperate odors, as in the violet. Of a mean heat with substance impure is odors misking, milking, misliking, is odors misliking, as aloes and sulfur. So, bad odors, right? Sulfur stinks. But when natural heat beginneth to spill, then thereof air ariseth heavy smell, as fish smelleth that is kept too long. Natural heat rotteth, so the smell is strong. Stench is a vapor, a resolved fumosity of things which of evil complexions be, and when humor only is in corruption, so that the substance be not in destruction. Thereof shall only heavy smell arise, but not very stench come in that wise. Of every stench the cause of that chance is only corruption of the self-substance. And when evil substance shall putrefy, horrible odor is gendered thereby. As of dragons and men that long dead be, their stench may cause great mortality. It is not wholesome to smell the somme. It is not wholesome to smell the somme colle, for quenching of some snuff a mare well craft her foal. Some things are lost over time. When the qualities of a thing according is to your nature, good odor will not miss. But when the substance is contrary to your kind, the odors thereof odious you shall find. Fishes love soot smell. Also it is true, they love not old kettles, as they do the new. Kettles, maybe. All things that are of good odor have natural heat for their succor. Though campfire roofs and things cold have soot odors, yet authors told. Now heat virtually enclosed is the skull, with purines of substance, why they so smell. This old opinion you may teach your brother, how no good odor is contrary to another. But it is not so of stinking smells, for stench of garlic voideth stench of dunghills. I don't know that that is necessarily true, right? I don't consider garlic to be stench, right? Can be, right? I'll grant that, right? If you overconsume garlic, there is definitely an odor. But like cooking with garlic, or like, that is a wonderful smell to me. Like, it is not at all a terrible smell. Now, if you eat raw garlic, you are going to have an odor. That is a little bit different than the odor of garlic, however. Of odors, this doctrine is sufficienty, as in alchemy, to serve your intentee. Your works to understand thereby, when things begin to putrefy. Also, by odors this you may learn subtleness and grossness of matters to discern. Also of mean substance knowledge you may get, with knowledge of corruption of natural heat, and knowledge of diversity by good attendance, when humor corrupteth and when the substance. But our substance was made of so pure and clean, and it is conveyed by virtue of the mean, that ye no stink thereof shall find, albeit that it putrefy for its own kind. The third sign and third testimony to understand your principal agent by is savor called the mouth of taste, which evermore is cause of waste, of the substance of the same things whereof ye make proof by tasting. Savor should be much better judge than color or odor, and more refuge. When not taste a perilous thing, while our stone isn't working. I keep laughing because some of these rhymes are extreme for us, but they may have fit back then, right? Thing and tasting, that is definitely a stretch. Judge and refuge, however, is a great stretch. While our stone isn't working. For it is hurting to health and life, and it is so greatly penetrative, above all subtle things it hath victory, and pierces solid things hastily. Wherefore it is peril and not good, much or oft to taste of that food. It comforteth metals, as we well find, but it is perilous for all mankind, till perfect red thereof be made, such as in fire will never fade. A lewd man late that served this art, tasted of our white stone apart, trusting thereby to find relief of all sickness and of all grief, whereby the wretch was suddenly smit with a strong paralyze, whom my master with great ingene cured with mazors out of the mine. Therefore, though taft by common reason, should be best judge at every season. And again, that's taste, not taft, my bad. Yet for that taste is abominable. Savor is here not profitable. Yet of some parts separable, a taste may well be convenable. Before conjunctions to make a say, whether they be well wrought or nay, howbeit a wise man hath help sufficient, by color and odor to have his intent. For many men can choose good wine by color and odor, when it is fine. But for new wine not fined in general, the true taste is most surety of all. For smelling hath organelles but one, nothing discerning but fumous things alone. But taste hath fixed organelles without doubt, to feel quality of things within and without, which nature adorned against peril and strife, for more surety of things having life. An ape chooseth her meat by smelling, men and popinjays trustin' to tasting, for many things be of good smell, which to taste be found full ill. For they may be abominable sour, over sharp to bitter or of great horror, or venomous stinking or over strong. The taste is judge and voideth such wrong. Old men wrote in ancient time how that of savors there be fully 9, which you may learn in half an hour, as sharp taste, unctuous, and sour, which 3 does subtle matter signify, the other 3 doth mean matter testify, as biting taste, saltish, and wearish also, other 3 come thick substances fro, as bitter taste under sour, and do say, these 9 be found in many a noble house. 5 of these 9 be engendered by heat, unction, sharp salt, bitter, and dulcet, but of 9 the remnant all sour, be made with cold, as is the saper sour. And so is sour taste called saper pontic, and less sour also called savor stipic. Also is wearish taste called unsavory, with cold engendered effectually. Savor of 2 things hath his conception, of diverse substance and of diverse complexion. Of hot and moist in the 2nd degree, with a thick substance dulcet taft will be. The same degrees of the same complexion to a mean substance knit by connection. Unctuous savor engender ever shall, but here it is hot and dry withal. With a mean substance in the 2nd degree, the taste thereof must needeth salt be. When a thing in the 3rd degree hot and dry is, with a substance thick there is bitterness. In the 4th degree matter hot and dry, with a subtle substance sharp taste is thereby. So 5 tastes as I laid before be engendered by heat, and not one more. Of cold and dry in the 2nd degree by kind, with a subtle substance full sour ye shall find, as by faces of people ye may deem, when they taste crabs while they be green. The same complexion of the same degree, in a thing of mean substance shall be, of that is engendered ye may well suppose, a biting taste as is of the rose, but sour and sourish, and leaf sour, all 3, be of cold and dry in high and low degree. As cold and moist in the 1st degree of all, a wearish taste engender ever shall. As of an egg it showeth in glary, and in pale woman over white and fair. For such be cold and of humidity, they have truly great superfluity. Therefore to men they have less delight, cold rebateth luxurious appetite. Isaac said there would be taste 7, for sour and less sour was one but uneven. But in complexion they were of one foundation, for unsavory but of taste privation. Compound taste be found also, as dulce ager and others may know. So by taste men may craftily know diverse complexions and degrees, high and low. And when ye doubt by taste to make report, then to your other testimonies resort. As in physique, trust not to urine only, but also take witness in doctrine of your pulses, and wisely considering 6 things not natural to body concerning. Having respect also therewithal unto these 7 things natural. 7, you say. And take heed, if you will, be sure of 3 things contrary to nature. Complete the 16 wisely to your ground. Elude filtration, lest that ye be found. For so of had I wist ye may beware, and help the sick man from his care. So of this science, if ye will advance, your works take heed of every circumstance, wisely considering your testimonies sour. 3 now be past, the sourest is liquor. Liquor is the comfort of this work. Liquor giveth that as the evidence to a clerk. thereby to fasten his elements, and also to lose them for some intents. Liquor conjoineth male and female wife, and causeth dead things to resort to life. Liquor cleanseth with their ablution. Liquors to our stone be chief nutrition. Without liquor no meat is good. Liquors convenieth all ailment and food to every part of man's body, and so they do with us in alchemy. Ye must consider the purity of all your liquors and quantity, and how thick they be or thin, or else thereof shall ye little win. But not as filtrations maketh mention, for elixir is a thing of second intention. Wherefore ye shall more wondrous natures find in his working than in all other kind. Filtrations say the thicker urine be, the more it signifieth humidity. Where thick liquor with us hath sickety, and subtle liquor betokeneth humidity. I would say that the thicker urine be is going to be the opposite of humidity. Right, the more dehydrated you are, the thicker your urine becomes. Concentration of salt, even. Many liquors be requisite to our stone for his appetite. In the book of Turba Aristeas deposed how air and water was secretly enclosed, which bare up earth with his airly might. Pythagoras said was spoke with right. Aristotle craftily his words said he, saying cum hubris aquam aberi. Plato wrote full sapiently, and named it Stilla Rosiris Madidi, which was kindly spoken for in alchemy. But common students in first philosophy say air condensed and turned into rain, and water rarefied becomes air again. Some said how May was first season and fair to take such water as made of air. Some said such waters come heaven fro when the sun entereth into Scorpio. Some said all liquors should be refueled, which first infected should not be used. The cause, while as telleth authors old, is that their acuity is dulled with cold. Some philosophers said that you should take milk for the elixir to make, and others sort said, after their intent, no liquor so good as for the complement, as water of Letharge which would not miss, but water of Azoth to make like virginis. But Democritus said, best liquor to present, elixir withal was water permanent. That would be the eternal water. Whole natural virtue and property was fire to abide and never to fly. Rupacissa said that chief liquor was aqua vitae elixortus acor, for she was spiritual and would revive dead things from death to life. She was quintessence, the fifth thing, whereof Aristotle by his writings in his book of secrets saith so, how that all perfection was in quinario. Rupacilla called it best liquor of all, for it maketh growth matter spiritual. But of Pythagoras ye may find our aqua vitae of another kind. He saith it was vivificans in his sentence, fac fugiens fixum, and fixum fugiens. For such wise, with strong coaction, fixed matters were made of light liquefaction. Another first said no liquor was above the liquor which conquers most desire and love. Therefore such liquors are best found nigh to islands and such ground which the ocean sea hath compassed about, and there such liquors be soon set out. Of another liquor wise men tell, which is fresher than water of the well. Fresher liquor there is none in taste, yet it will never consume nay waste. Though it be occupied evermore, it will never be left in store. Which Democritus named for his intent, lex umbra carens, water most orient. Hermes said no liquor so necessary as was water of crude mercury. For he shall stand, said that noble clerk, for the water within our work. Now learn ye, which for this science have fought, by all these liquors our stone must be wrought. A lot of these, right, we have dealt with a lot of these already. The aqua vitae is the water of life. The aqua permanens, same thing, right? And so what is being said here, right? There is the physical liquor that is made through physical alchemy. That is true. But in addition to that, we talked in the last video about moving the waters up and down. That is the creation of this liquor. Put simply, right? The aqua permanens creates the stone that is moving the waters up and down. There is a purification process of that happens. I have outlined such. And so I am not in disagreement with this. As the allegory, as I explained. Liquor is the thing movable of fleeting substance and unstable. All such things follow the moan, more than standing kinds done. And that appeareth to a clerk in working of the white work. Liquors washing and making clean both extremities of the mean. Both extremities, you say? Both extremities. I got you. God made liquors for man's use, to cleanse foul things in every house. Liquor bringeth without doubt hidden things in bodies out. Again as the allegory. And lands witness, evidently, when of ashes they make their lie, liquor comforteth the roots of grass. And of trees such as dry was, for liquors of nature will restore humors that were lost before. Liquors departeth qualities asunder, substance resolving into tomes with wonder. Liquors also bringeth into one many things to be one stone. Liquors helpeth to flux and to flow many things, and learn you may know how liquor is in many manners found out of things that be on the ground. Some by cutting, as turpentine, some with pressing, as cider and wine, some with grinding, as oil is had, some with stilling, as waters be mad, some with brenning, as colophony, and some with water, as women make lie. Some be otherwise brought about, and by natural working set out, as urine, sweat, milk, and also blood, and rennet, which for cheese is good. Right? This is interesting, right? Urine, sweat, and milk all do come out rather naturally, right? Milk is expressed if you don't make it happen. Blood is less so, right? You do not naturally sprout blood. If you do, there is something wrong. The same is true for rennet. Right, rennet is created from the milk digesting part of a ewe or a calf, which is a goat or a cow, in the most part, right? Animal rennet, and you will not attain that except by killing the animal, right? And so there is that, right? But there is also a natural rennet, which is made from the ficus, the fig tree. You can take the white sap, and it is less effective than the animal rennet, but it is a rennet that does work for making cheese. But even that is not expressed naturally. You have to pick something from the tree in order for it to express itself. And so urine does come out naturally, sweat and milk, yeah, but not blood and not rennet. Every of the forenamed will cleave, to that they touch and some deal leave. But quicksilver, albeit it is fleeting, yet he will never cleave to anything. but to a metal of one kind or other, for there he findeth sister or brother. Meddling with subtle earth doth him let to cleave to things such as he met. All the said liquors which rehearsed be contain fewer elements as well as he, as milk containeth whey, butter, and cheese, so done truly every each of all these, which fewer may be departed a twin, and after conjoined to make ye win. But much more craftily they be here fought, than cheese and butter and whey be wrought, and drew near to simplicity than cheese and butter or whey they may be. Of all liquors which be in our stone, none is called simple but water alone. Of every liquor which to our stone shall go, you must know complexion and degree also. And than which liquor you may abate the principal agent from his estate, if he permanent and abiding be, at any point of superfluity, as if the reigning quality be drennels, ye made amend with humour of moistness. Now more, now less, as ye see need, and so in all qualities proceed, and in such wise order at your will, the principal agent your purpose to fulfill. With knowledge of diversity, contrariety, and accord, you may choose which quality shall be lord. Your liquors be ordained to add and subtract, to make equality by wisdom of a say. But trust not that anything may be, hot and moist both, in one degree. For all that trust to qualities to be so, shall be deceived wherever they go. Common schools so teaching be not true. Leave that opinion and learn this of new. All old men in that were overseen, to set in one degree, and equalities twain. Inequalities twain, right? Two qualities. I wonder what that could be a reference to. There is here talking about the overbalancing by going into the hotness and you lose the moistness. All old men in that were overfeen, to set in one degree, and equalities twain. Else, they said, so that scholars should not find the secret mixtures of elemental kind. Therefore, who cannot his graduations may not be perfect in our operations. For in true number God made everything. Without true number no man truly may find. Who faileth of his number faileth of his song. Who faileth with us must do nature wrong. Consider also the nature of the men, when it is in the third degree made clean. The purer that your means be, the more perfection thereof you shall see. The means retain a great part of the virtues of this art, for the principle not give influence, may not influence, to the final end, neither the refluence. Unto his principal without succor and aid, of men's containing and extremities of foresaid. For like as by means of a treble spirit, the soul of man is to his body knit, of which three spirits, one is called vital, the second is called the spirit natural, the third spirit is spirit animal, and where they dwell, you shall now learn you shall. The spirit vital is in the heart, doth well. The spirit natural, as the old authors tell, to dwell in the liver is thereof fain, but spirit animal dwell in the brain. All right, so what do we have here? We've got the Trinity, right? The spirit resides in the heart. That is true. That is the vital spirit. That is the agent of change. That is the logos. The spirit is connected to the world through your heart, through the crown, and through the base, as well as through the divine chakra. This soul resides in the brain. That would be the spirit animal, the part that makes you, you, right? And then the last piece is going to be the spirit natural, right? The baser side of mankind, that is going to be the body. That is going to reside where? In the lower trinity. It gives it to the liver. I would not, but it's understandable why. And so, again, we do have the trinity. As above, as below, bound through the heart even. Confirmation bias acknowledged. And as long as these spirits three continue in man in their prosperity, so long the soul without all strife who dwell in the body in prosperous life. But when these spirits in man may not abide, the soul forthwith departeth at the tide. For the subtle soul, pure and immortal, with the gross body may never dwell withal. He is so heavy, and she so light and clean, were not the subtleness of the spirits mean. Therefore, in our work, as authors teach us, there must be corpus anima and spiritus. The body and the spirit bound through the soul, or the body and the soul bound through the spirit. Also in our work ye shall to find that our means must accord in every kind of both extremities with wisdom sought, else all our work shall turn clear to naught. For prudent nature may not by working make complement of appetite of a thing, and so pass between extremities. If the first pass by all degrees of every mean, this is truth unfeigned. Wherefore nature means ordained. Many means ordained. Once again, I will point out that there is a balance between every single one of these. They are the extremities in which you seek wisdom. Quite literally what he just said. Now, after all this, to learn ye had need of 7 circulations of elements for your speed. 7, you say, according to the number of the planets 7, which no man knoweth, but he have grace from heaven. Old philosophers, men of great engine, said of house circulations, there should be 9. It is the surer to do by their advice, nevertheless 7 may your works suffice. By inventions late found of new, of later philosophers whose works be true. Yes. Now, I will point out that there are 9 steps if you are following the Kabbalah. Right? We have found that out. There are really 10, but they do not acknowledge the 10th. And so there are 9. Maybe a correlation, it may not. But what is being said, if it is a correlation, is exactly what I say, is that the Kabbalah might get you there, but it's not a guarantee because it is not correct. And then it says, nevertheless, 7, may your work suffice. By inventions late found of new, of later philosophers, whose works be true. Confirmation bias, again, acknowledged. But for circulation of elements, some clerks ween to have their intents, for when they fro fire ordain to descend, to air they ween not to offend. If they to water do then proceed, and then to earth when they see need, in such wise by order fall from the highest to the lowest of all. Well, what have we just seen here? Again, confirmation bias acknowledged. There are the quaternary, fire, air, water, earth. Generally speaking, they are placed in a certain order, and this is a different one. Right? Generally speaking, the references are air, water, earth, and then maybe fire, or air, fire, water, then maybe earth. If you have been following along at all, you know what I'm about to say, because it is exactly what is being said right here. Fire is the representative of the Logos, which was when all of creation got into motion and we began to have the combination of the elements. The first combination of those elements, enacted by the heat transference of the electromagnetics, was gaseous. The combinations into the various gases. hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, oxygen monoxide, or oxygen dioxide, right? Whatever it happens to be. All the airs. And then, through the further transference of heat, we got the liquids. The accretion of the liquids, the creation of water and the others. And then, from the furtherance of the transference of heat, we got solidity, the earth. And so for me, the order is exactly fire, air, water, earth. Exactly. This is not in concordance with most of the other references that we have seen, but it is in perfect accordance with the things that I believe. Again, confirmation bias. From these words, they took their ground that aer eft cibus ignis found. But trust me that such circulation is only a rectification. Better serving for separation and for correction than for transformation. But the truth is that appetite of the fire hath to work in earth, his cheerful desire. Yes. And upon his chief food material, for fire with earth hath most concord of all. Because that siccity is the lime of heat, but air of her kind is most wet. Yet fire without air worketh not, for faces of elements be knit with a knot of God's hands that they may not depart, but no engines ne craft of man's art. As in plumps ye have example fair, where heavy water ariseth after air, whereof no cause reasonably ye shall find, but connection of faces of elemental kind. But our circulation is from fire on high, which endeth with water his most contrary. Another circulation beginneth with air, ending with his contrary cleaneth earth when fair. For fire to earth, from thence to water cleanse, from thence to air, then from thence by a mean, passing to earth, then estoons to fire. To such circulations the red work hath desire. Other circulations be better for white, than be rehearsed for her appetite. So this is telling you that you're going to have to take different orders working up and down, and that may be true. I did not do the assignment of the elements to the particular steps, right? That was not part of my process. It has somewhat been revealed afterwards. I did briefly touch upon it in the book, I believe. But it was not like a necessity for me to identify moving this energy up with the fire. Although that is what is happening. But this appears to be a plan, right? This is laying out how to do the work, how to pull the energy in what order. This is without a key, or I don't have the key in specificity, right? I do correlate these things with the elements, right? Spirit, soul, and all. It is soul, no, spirit, body, soul, and spirit. Body, soul, and spirit. Body, soul, and spirit. And so I look at it that way. Other people may look at it that way as well. But this is the first time that I've seen it laid out quite in this fashion. And it may be that this is the exact way that it needs to be done. It may be that it is just a way that it's done. I have done it without this, so I'm going to assume that it is a way and not the way. Just like I assume that my way is not the way, but it is a way. Every circulation hath her proper season, and her lightness according with reason. For as one planet is more ponderous than is another and slower in his course, so some circulations which clerks seek must for her time have full 30 weeks. Other circulations shall oft time have less, but one planet is lighter than another was. By the time of one with another will amount to 20 weeks, to 26 weeks, proved by a compt, after all gross works made beforehand, and after all circumstances had I understand, ignorance hereof deceiveth many a man, causing them to cease where wise men began. Common people, which for this science have sought, ween how in 40 days it might be wrought. They know not how nature and things of art have a proper time assigned for their part, as it appeareth by the similitude, the elephant for that she is great and rude. Goeth with full years full twain, and 50 years ere that full gender again. Anaxagoras said in his consideration that metals had for their generation 1,000 years, wherefore him list to say, in respect thereof our work is but one day. Also you must work by good advice when you see earth above water rise, for as water beareth earth which we go on, so will it do in working of our stone, whereof well springs with strokes soft, soberly make ye must in times oft, whereby water may soberly flow, for violent fluxes be perilous as now. Moreover, it helpeth in alchemy to know 7 waters effectually, which may be copied with many a man, while they be common seek them as ye can. Desire not this book to show things all, for this book is but an ordinal. Ordinal means a beginning, a start, a directional point. By those waters men ween in mind all faults to amend meddling kind. Also they ween of the elements four, the effects to ween by their succour. For they suppose with confidence unfeigned, that all virtues requite in them be contained. Some to mollify metals hard wrought, and some to harden metals that be soft, some to putrefy, some to make malleable, every each according that he was able. Such liquors to know it is profit and good, howbeit they may not our stone be food. Noble authors, men of glorious fame, called our stone microcosmos by name. For his composition is without and doubt like to this world in which we walk about, of heat, of cold, of moist and dry, of hard, of soft, of light and heavy, of rough, of smooth, and of things stable, meddled with things fleeting and movable, of all things contrary, brought to one accord, knit by the doctrine of God, our blessed Lord, whereby of metals is made transmutation, not only in color, but transubstantiation, in which you have need to know this thing, how all the virtues of the elements transmuting upon the transmuted must have full domination, before that the substance be in transmutation, and all parts transmuted must figured be, and the elements transmuting and pressed by degree. So that the third thing, elemented of them all, of such condition evermore be shall, that it truly have it may be none other, but her substance of that one, and her virtue of that other. A child of this nativity can eat his meat and cry, our stone at his nativity will color large lie. In 3 years after a child can speak and go, then is our stone more coloring also. Interesting. If you are unaware, I do have a theory by which I state that I believe that most of your patterns are set by age 8, right? This would be by age 5, you are attaining more of those things, right? Each one of these represents something for you, right? I dealt with wrath and lust, a little bit more towards the denial side than gluttony, and it is dependent upon you. It may be that the youth, and by youth I mean under the age of 8, don't have all of these quite aligned yet or active yet, and it may be, this is definitely speculation, that it is revealed the further along they get, that the more they get, right? That is definitely within the realm of speculation, however. One upon 1,000 his tincture truly is, of clean washen metal I am true witness. Falsity, believe it, and fully in your thoughts, it maketh good silver as of mine is wrought, and also a stone will augment and increase, in quantity and quality, and thereof never cease. That is true, right? You are not going to create a stone and it continue to increase. But if you create this stone, it does nothing but increase. And therefore his growing and augmentation is likened to man in waxing in creation. Nathel's one point of truth I will report, which to some men may be discomfort. At the first making of our stone, that time for winning looks for none. If ye then cease, I understand, ye shall depart with loosing hand. The crofts be so great before, expended and set upon the score. But at the first augment of all, which time our stone, depart ye shall, in part twain, full equally, with subtle balance, and not with eye, one for red, that other for the white. And again, I will point out that there is a likelihood that this red actually means black. To maintain both for your delight. Then winning first beginneth to arise, but afterwards, if ye be wise, at every augment continually, profit shall grow commodiously. In this our white work alone, as well as in the ruby stone, whereof said Maria Sifter to Aaron, life is short and science is full long. Nathel's is greatly retardeth age, when it is ended by strong courage. But some that have been taught truly have forsook their work lewdly. And when their great labor have been past, and they know not how at the last groweth the profit and the winningage, which they would have at the beginningage. Therefore I find that it is need for truth to tell when you should speed. For when I am past and out of mind, this my witness shall rest behind. Notice he is not anticipating being here forever, right? He is telling you when I am past and out of mind, when I die, this my witness shall be left behind is the ordinal. For which cause I do not spare of this art the truth to declare, and as much as I dare that I be not sent for breaking of God's commandment. This wise endeth all our white work, showed sufficiently for an able clerk. I agree, right? This will at least get you started on the right way. After all this, upon a day I heard my noble master say, how that many men, patient and wise, found our white stone with exercise. After that they were truly taught, with great labor that stone they caught. Here is something. I talk quite often about being in the oneness, right? That is, in the meditative state, when you kind of lose cohesion mentally with your physicality, right? It is a blending of the borders, right? You become somewhat one with all things. You hear things a little bit clearer. You see them in a little bit more vibrant of a color, right? That is the oneness. But another way of looking at that is being in the zone, right? Whenever you are exercising, particularly if it is something that you do frequently, you can get into a repetitious pattern by which you are acting without really consciously doing so, right? If you play baseball every single day, right, you can throw and catch the ball without really thinking about it, right? That is an instinctual reaction that kind of happens. But it only happens if you practice, right? When you first begin, you do not catch instinctually. It is something that you develop over time. But once you have developed that over time, you can get into a zone where you're not even really thinking at all about the current situation in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. You are merely throwing the ball back and forth with your partner without even thinking about it. You have your mind on something completely different. That's kind of like being in the zone, where everything is firing exactly like it should be, running right down the exact course that you anticipated doing, right? Being in the zone. Many men, patient and wise, found the white stone with exercise. Well, the white stone is the one that you attain by pulling up the energies and achieving the oneness. That is exactly it, right? I've described that exact same thing. And so that is a direct one-on-one correlation with what I believe. Now, that is looking through the lens of confirmation bias, but to me, that screams. But few, said he, and scarcely one in 15 kingdoms had our red stone. Now again, that is not the red stone of the red base chakra, but it is the misinterpretation of the black which lies just beyond the red. And again, perfect accordance. Many people have pulled the energy up, right? The Kundalini awakening, that is pulling the energy up. Now, Dave envisioned that as a white light. I don't, but there is a... We talked about it before, how the black is actually the binder of the white, and so you're really pulling black, but it appears white. This is that same issue, right? And so when it says the red stone in this context, it is really talking about the feminine aspect in conjunction with the white, which is the positive. But this, other than the word red, if it said 15 kingdoms had our black stone, it would be, again, perfect concordance with what I already believe. And with that word, he cast his eye, looking on me, full steadily eye. Of his words, he saw me woe, and said, alas, what shall I do? For above all earthly things, I most desire and love cunning, and for the red stone is preservative, most precious thing to length my life. The red stone, said I, is lever to me. Then all were gold that I was so to be. He said, I was young of age, of body lusty and likely to outrage, scantly of the age 28 years. He said philosophers had no such compeers. This woeful answer then he made to me. Till you be elder, he said, it may not be. I will point out one thing, right? I do not know about these secret societies, but we do know about one society that required an age limit, right? It may be that you cannot be a Mason until you pass a certain age. I do not know. But we do know that in the Jewish tradition, the Kabbalah, which was the higher learning past the meat for the masses, right, or the milk for the masses, required you to be married with children and above the age of 35. Those were three that were not debatable, right? If you were over the age of 13 when you had your bar mitzvah, 15 at the outside if it took you a long time to build the house. If you were above that age and not married, you were pretty much dismissed, right? It was a obligation in the religion to get married. Nobody in that religion would be listened to in the slightest way, dealing with matters eternal, if they were not married. There is some wisdom to be extracted from that, dealing with the Bible study. But this appears to be something along the same lines, right? Now, I do not know, right? I began this work late in life. It was not until I was in my 40s that I really began this in earnest. And so I cannot say that it would have been unattainable to me at the age of 28. Very likely because I was not in any way, shape, or form who I am today, right? Not even willing to become the person that I am today at the age of 28. I promise you that. I was well engaged into illegal activities at that point. And so it may very well be, but through the process of time, there is a tempering that happens. The older you get, the wiser you tend to be. In addition to that, the brain does not even function fully until you are 25 years old or so. The prefrontal cortex does not combine into the right and left hemispheres working in conjunction until you are past the age of 25. And so you don't make good decisions. That is why so many people in the military are between the ages of 18 and 25. They are willing to execute the aggression. So, if you are under the age of 25, I do not actually recommend trying to complete the entire process. You still have a lot of learning and growing to do. Alas, good master remembers that I, howbeit my body be light and left eye, prove and assay and you shall find age sufficient within my mind. He held his words full still that tide, and so long time he did abide. After this, suddenly, in wondrous wise, he tempted me after the philosopher's guise, which, to rehearse it were too long, and to show it how I should do wrong. For that must be kept secret, for them that shall with this science meet. Yet at the last with leisure and with space, I won his love by help of God's grace, so that I had with grace the true doctrine of confection of the red medicine. Whom to seek it availeth right not, till the white medicine be fully wrought. 3-step process, up to the white, down to the red, and then back in conjunction with balance. Also, both medicines in their beginning have one manner of vessel and working, as well for the white as also for the red, till all quick things be made dead. That would be balancing between yourself, right? Making the quick things dead. Quick to anger, quick to jealousy, quick to lust. I'm loving this study, I really am. It may not come across that way because I can sometimes appear a little bit weird, but then vessels and form of operation shall change in matter, figure, and graduation. Yes, but my heart quaketh, my hand is trembling when I write of this most felcouth thing. Hermes brought forth a true sentence and blessed when he said ignis and azoth tibi sufficient. Alright, now I gotta look up azoth. Right, because I'm pretty sure that that is just a mathematical term. Mercury considered in alchemy to be the primary source of all metals. The first principle of metals, mercury. Okay, so we're talking about spirit and will. That is what is being said here. Right? Ignis is the logos. Remember, fire and spirit. Ignis is fire. Azoth is going to be Mercury. Mercury is going to be the soul, the part that is making the decisions. Fire and spirit, and the soul or the decision is indeed sufficient. The expositor of Hermes and Aristotle joint in that joint work showed a strange point. He said Albertus Magnus with the Black Friar, neither Friar Bacon his compare, had not of our red stone consideration him to increase in multiplication. The expositor knew it sufficiently, and my master taught it me truly, albeit that I never made a say of the red work before this day. The causeth appeareth in this book before. When I was robbed, I would no more. Now this robbing, right, in my estimation, from my understanding, from what has been relayed, right, he said quite plainly he did not create a physical stone, right? What got taken from him by this widow if it was not a physical stone? Now there were two people, we won't even deal with the other one. Could it possibly have been his lust? As a matter of fact, if you, like, we did not do the wiki, but if you go back to the wiki, he did marry a widow. And so it may be entirely that what happened is that you met somebody and it brought you out of balance, right? When I was robbed means that you were brought out of balance. He says that he never completed the red work. Well, that is definitely saying something from someone who was so far along, right? It is evident to me that he does at least know that at least part of the process, right? He has described in some great detail a way that will work, at least through speculation and logical assumptions upon my part. It is in many ways in direct concurrence and in many ways tangential concurrence with things that I know do work, so I have to assume that it would. But it may be that he was not willing to practice the restraint from lust. That is possible. It may be that he did not have the understanding that not having sex is not the plan for you, right? You were created with genitalia not just to resist the use of that genitalia, but to use it appropriately, just like all of the rest of the vices. And so it may be that the understanding was wrong, right? The understanding that, well, you have to be chaste forever if you were going to perform these things is a wrong understanding. That is me assuming things. Once again, this is still in the realm of speculation, but it does appear to be that that is what he is talking about. Nevertheless, I have put me so far in prees that secret truth I show I cannot cease. I feel you on that. Mr. Norton, we are in agreement. All right? I tried to not do what I do over here. If you go back to the Bible study, there's like a 6-month period where I just stopped. I just stopped doing it because I was not happy with it. Right? I was a Christian when I began. I was not when I ended. That period in the middle was the decision point for that. Right? And I was not all that happy with it. I was not. But I cannot stop. Quite literally, I've tried. Right? I took a couple of days off just to see, and I was so anticipatory to get back here and do this that it is obvious to me that this is my intention in life. Right? I am here to do this. And so I cannot cease. If it is pointed out to me, I just cannot help myself. Right? It really sets, it's like swallowing acid to hear an untruth. It is like swallowing acid to see a not correct correlation. It is a physical, visceral reaction within me. I cannot cease to secrete the truth. I cannot. Rehearsing such as were greatly too bold, so great secrets as shew as they told. They said that within the center of incomplete white was hid our red stone of most delight. Once again, red means black. And now there is no equivocation. Right? Let's just pull it up as a reference. Yin, yang. What is going to pop up? What is this? Is that a little bit of the red and the white right there? Is that what that would represent? That is exactly what that represents. What is that? There's a little bit of the evil in the good. There's a little bit of good in the evil. There is negative in the positive. There is positive in the negative. That is a correlation of balance in your life. That is exactly what I talk about. That is a direct one-on-one confirmation that the red was supposed to be black. Which may with strength and kind of fire be made to appear right as we desire. Pandaphylis and turbiced mente secura. It's all in your head. Et jus umbra in vera tinctura. I do not speak Latin, right? Some of these things I picked up. This is tincture. This is true. Umbra is kind of the essence of. And so in your essence is true tincture. Right? That's basically what that is saying. Maria confirmed it in Fidel Oculata, quod in ipsa albedine al rubida oculata. And so, in your eyes, see the albedo and rubido, which is the white and the red of the occult. Again, both of these are confirmation. The book Landable Sanctum, made by Hermes, of the red work, speaketh in this wise: Candida tunct rubido jacituc sor neptu marito. Right? We recognize rubido, right? I do not recognize most of the rest of this. Now, nupta, that is the root for nuptial, which is the binding together, right? Candida, I am going to assume, is white. So white and red combined into marriage. That is probably not a very good interpretation, but it's probably close enough. I bet it is. That is to say, if ye take heed thereto, then is the fair white woman married to the ruddy man. And look, confirmation. Understanding thereof, if ye would get, when our white stone shall suffer heat and rest in fire as red as blood, then is the marriage perfect and good. And ye may truly know that time, how the seminal seed masculine hath wrought and won the victory upon the minstrels worthily. That again, right? We are again dealing with the exact same correlations. Red is the spirit, and so refting the stone, the white stone, through the fire, which is refining, removing from yourself the vices, you create the white stone. By going through and purifying yourself from the virtues, yes, from the virtues, finding the balance, then you find the black stone. Right? Now, it's talking about the seed. That is the infinitesimal point that penetrates into the menstruals. That is the void. Again, direct confirmation. And well converted them to this kind, and by experience ye shall find, passing the substance of embryon, for then complete is made our stone. Whom wise men said that ye should feed with his own venom when it is need. Remember when we were talking about the consciousness, right? We used the allegory of the pen, and you are over here making the decisions, and then over here is the unconscious, which is the oversoul, is the best way of looking at it. This is you as the individual soul. This is the containment of all souls, the source from what souls come. But this side, the unconscious side, talks to you, right? It is either positive or negative. The source is kind of ambivalent that way. And so, which one do you hear most? It's the one that you feed, right? Whom wise men said that you should feed with his own venom when it is in need. What is the venom for hate? Love. What is the venom for love? Hate. What is the venom for lust? Chastity. What is the venom for chastity? Lust. It is the same all the way through. For all of your cost, he will you quite. Thus ended the subtle work with all her store. I need not, I may not, I will show no more. Mr. Norton, you have shown all that you need to show. Right now, what we have here is the astrological chart. Libra, Leo, Virgo, Scorpio, Cancer, Sagittarius, Gemini, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus. These are showing the same things with with slightly different designations, I guess. Right, this is the quarters, the houses, right? The house of Libra, the house of Leo. And inside of the house, here you have nothing, and here you have the moon at 1 degree, and you have a conjunction of the quaternary, right? That is what these symbols are showing. I'm not going to try and break down all of them. You are more than welcome to go back once again to the source material. But that is going to bring us to the end of chapter 5, which was quite beneficial. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a series of somewhat difficult topics. I understand that I do hold some unconventional beliefs, and I do have a tendency to step on toes when I relay those. It is not intentional, but it is not something that I apologize for. Once again, I feel like this one has been very, very enlightening, right? Not so much that it is giving me new material, but it is confirming to me things that I discovered independently that was written. This is 2025. This was in 1460, right? Norden's Ordinal was in the 1400s. He died in the 1519. So at best, this was at 1500. So we're talking what, 6,000 or 600 years ago? And it was written already, the things that I have through divine revelation. I'm loving it, right? I didn't have a master come and teach me this stuff. I went straight to the source and had it revealed to me. I took it through logic and understanding with the intuition of the unconscious, seeking the divine wisdom of the oversoul for me in my journey. And it was revealed to me how to move this energy from the base to the top, working on my vices. And then it was revealed to me to work from the top to the bottom, working on my virtues. And then it was revealed to me about the combination thereof from the as above, as below. And it worked, right? It worked. I did things. I have affected change in my own life. If you fall back just to the beginning of this playlist, right? This playlist is the Ancient Lore playlist. There's also another one, Exploring Alchemy. That's not going to do you any good. But if you fall back to the Ancient Lore playlist when we began with the Enuma Elish, and you listen to me talk, you cannot help but notice the difference. I know the difference, right? Because my voice still has a little bit of phlegm. Some people look at that in the wrong way. Like, well, you're not fully healed until you can speak perfectly. Well, who says that? It took 3 years for me to lose my voice in the way that I did fully. It might take 3 more for me to gain it back through exercise. But the cyst, the thing that was causing the problem, is gone. Completely gone. It no longer hampers my vocal cords at all. If there is a wavering in my voice, it's because of my chest, probably because I smoke weed. Now, these things have been revealed to me. I have affected change in 4 ways, right? It's not just my throat, it's my shoulder, my back, and my leg. That's a quaternary. It might show something by itself, right? And so I do not discuss these things idly. I do not even speculate without intention, right? Whenever I enter into the realm of speculation, it is to get you thinking about these things, either to confirm it or to deny it. Either one is perfectly fine. It is speculation. We are sparking discussions on speculation. But some things I stand on pretty firmly. And the more I read this, the more firmly I am going to stand upon this. This right here, chapter 5, has been a direct confirmation to me. The things talked about may not be in the exact order or the exact terminology that I use, but it is readily identifiable enough that I can see it with no hesitation whatsoever. For me to state emphatically as I did at the end that red is black, that is obvious to me. Now that we have done this study, there can be no mistake. That is what was being discussed. Now, that may be different for the very next person, right? We're not quite done with Norden. He has, I believe, 8 chapters. somebody else had 8 chapters. It may be that he gets completely off course here. I highly doubt it. It may be that the next person doesn't know what they're talking about. Again, I highly doubt it. It appears that Mr. Ashmole may have picked the correct sources, right? We know now Norton knew what he was talking about. We know from the study of Jung, Dorn knew what he was talking about. Both of those are in here. There are other authors. Some of them may not know, but I'm beginning to doubt it. If you like what I'm doing over here, let me know down below. Give me a like, a share, a follow, throw me a comment. Whether you agree or disagree with anything that was said, put it in the box down below, and if it remains respectful, it gets to remain up. If you really like what I'm doing, hit me with that super thanks. Consider joining for a membership, picking up a copy of my book, which is short but teaches you all of these things, or reaching out to me directly either for consultation, the services that are provided, or just to support the channel directly. Any support will be appreciated. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you were here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way that you are. And this has been pittstake. Peace.